Despite a not very Super Tuesday showing, Ben Carson is vowing to stay in the race.
It is rotten to the core on both sides, Democrats and Republicans. And they have weaved such a complex web, it will be very, very difficult to untangle it. But I'm not ready to quit trying to untangle it yet.
So will the doctor's prescription for a flat tax rate help him move forward in the race? Joining us right now to weigh in is the chairman of the King's College Business and Finance Program in Manhattan, Professor Brian Brenberg. Welcome back, Professor.
Great to be here again.
All right, after a late night, you're coming in to analyze this.
That's right.
Let's talk a little bit about, generally, we'll get into the specifics in a minute, but what does Ben Carson stand for tax-wise?
So he is talking about a flat tax on income and business income as well. So this is really a radical plan. You know, you expect Ben Carson to sort of be the moderate, sober-minded. This is a big, big deal. He's radically changing the income tax structure, radically changing the business tax structure. Could be a big growth-inducing move. Could also produce big deficits as well.
Okay,
so
let's leave that graphic up for just a second. Yep. So about a 15% flat tax for people 150% above the poverty level. It would abolish double taxation, which everybody loves.
Yep.
It would eliminate tax credits and itemized deductions. We'll come back to that in a minute. Eliminate the AMT and abolish the death tax, which, you know, nobody really likes. Let's go back to eliminate tax credits and itemized deductions. That is a problem because there are people in various industries who make money on those, and so those lobbyists are going to spin, their heads are going to start spinning.
He needs to do it to make his plan work. He's got to broaden the base. He's got to tax more income so he can't allow these exemptions and credits. The problem is those credits and exemptions are really popular. So it's going to be very hard politically to make that work. And I think that's one of the issues. In theory, his plan looks really good to economists because it reduces taxes on investment and income, could spur growth. But politically, it has some problems, and the deductions and the tax credits that he gets rid of is one of those problems.
Because a lot of people have the mortgage interest deduction. I take that. I think everybody does.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, it's like the trade-off. Do you want the flat tax, or do you want to continue to get that credit?
And, you know, child tax credit's another thing that he takes off the table. So
charity.
Again, and these tend to be very popular for the lower income workers. And so that's one of the critiques of his plan. It really helps out higher income workers. The top 10% get by far, top 1% get by far the biggest break in this plan. Lower end of the income scale, not as big of a boost. That's always going to be an issue, especially for Republican candidates.
Okay, so let's take a look. The Tax Foundation has analyzed this, and this is what they have found. His tax plan reduced after-tax income for all except the top 10%. 5.2 million more full-time jobs. That is great. 16% higher GDP over the long term. About 50% larger capital stock, and about 11% higher wages. Yeah. That all sounds great.
It sounds good. It all assumes that you're going to get assumes two things. One, you're going to get economic growth. Okay, the issue about who's going to get after-tax income gains, if you don't see a lot of growth, it could be the case that 80–90% of taxpayers actually see their after-tax income go down. Carson's betting on big growth. The other thing that he's betting on is that he can cut spending. If he doesn't cut spending, you're talking about $6 trillion in deficits over 10 years. If you have those deficits, you see interest rates go up. If interest rates go up, businesses can't get capital, they can't invest. It all unwinds, right? So he's making two big assumptions here. If those don't happen, it could be a big issue.
Okay, Professor, before you go, how would you grade his paper?
I'd give him somewhere in the B range, I think. Some work to do, but some good things happening there.
All right, Professor, thank you very much.
Yep, you bet. Always good to see you. You bet.